Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. When I tell people how my marriage ended, I usually start since that evening in the kitchen. I came home from work, dropped my keys in the bowl by the door, and the house was quiet. Not reading a book quiet. Empty quiet. Her car wasn't in the driveway. I checked the clock over the stove. 6:30. I pulled some chicken from the fridge, chopped vegetables, threw everything in a pan. Habit. I used to like cooking for us. Halfway through, I texted her. Hey, you on your way? No answer. By 8, the food was getting cold. I was sitting at the table, still in my work shirt, staring at 2 plates. At 9:30, I heard her car pull in. I got up fast. I still cared back then. She came in with her bag on her shoulder, hair a little messy, smelling like some sweet perfume she didn't wear for me anymore. Hey. I stepped toward her, arms open. You're late. I'm 8. She moved past me, not even slowing down. Not now? I'm tired, she said, dropping her keys. I already ate, so I'm going to bed. The way she said it, like I was an annoying salesman at the door. I stood in the hallway, looking at the untouched food, then at her back as she walked to the bedroom. If I had known where that one sentence would lead, I would have stopped cooking that night and started packing. But back then, I still thought we were just going through a phase. I followed her to the bedroom door. Where were you? I asked. She was kicking off her shoes. Out. With who? I leaned on the door frame. She rolled her eyes. Megan and the girls. Can this wait? I'm exhausted. It already waited 3 hours. I pointed at the clock. You didn't text back. Her voice went flat. My phone was in my bag. I didn't see it. Happy now? Not really, I replied. I cooked for us. You didn't tell me you were going out. You didn't tell me you'd be late. That's not nothing. She pulled a t-shirt from the drawer. Mark, I'm not reporting to a supervisor. I went out. I had a long day. I needed a break. Why are we turning this into drama? Because my wife disappearing for hours and brushing it off like I'm a stranger is a problem, I answered. That's why. She stopped for a second, then shrugged. You're overreacting. I'm going to sleep. She switched off the light on her nightstand and turned away. I stayed in the doorway for a moment, in the dark. That was the first signal. I noticed. I just didn't know, yet, how far it would go. The next week, it turned from signal into pattern. She started working late more often, coming home after 9, eating out without a word, phone face down on the counter, screen lighting up with messages she didn't have energy to answer. Wednesday, I was in the garage, sorting tools, when my friend Dan walked in. Dan is a mechanic, loud, straightforward, zero filters. He'd stopped by to borrow a ratchet, stayed for a beer. He glanced at the empty driveway. Lisa not home yet. Nope, I said, wiping my hands on a rag. She's got another late one. He tugged open the cooler. She'd been pulling those a lot lately. Yeah. I took the bottle from him. Apparently married people live separate lives now. He looked at me. You okay with that? I'm not, I told him. Which is why I'm done pretending I am. I meant it. That night, when she finally came in around 10:30, I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop and a notepad. No TV, no music, just me and a list. She dropped her bag on a chair. Why are you still up? I closed the laptop. We need to talk. She exhaled loudly. Seriously? Now? Yeah, now. I pointed at the chair across from me. Sit down. She stared at me, annoyed, but sat. All right, Mark. What is this? I kept my voice calm. Look, I get it. You're busy. You have friends. You have a life. So do I. But I'm not okay with my wife disappearing into thin air and brushing me off like some random roommate. She crossed her arms. You're being controlling. No, I shook my head. I'm being clear. I'm not asking for your schedule minute by minute. But if you're going out, you send a text. Where you're going, who you're with. Not because I own you. Because we're married and I'm not a ghost you live with. She stared at me. You don't trust me. Trust needs information, Lisa, I replied. You vanish for hours and give me one-word answers. That doesn't work for me. So here's my rule. If you want nights out, fine. But you tell me ahead of time, or at least send a message. Hey, I'm going with Megan and the girls to some bar, be home around 10. That's basic respect. She scoffed. Wow, you rehearsed that, didn't you? Yeah, I said. I did. Because I'm not going to keep cooking for 2 and eating alone without saying anything. She leaned back. And if I forget to text? What? I get written up. I held her stare. If you forget once, we talk. If you keep forgetting, I start living like a man who doesn't have a partner he can rely on. I'll make plans without you. I'll stop adjusting my evenings for someone who treats me like background noise. Her eyes narrowed. Is that a threat? It's a boundary, I corrected. Big difference. She went quiet for a few seconds. Fine, she said finally. I'll text. Happy. It's not about happy, I replied. It's about not being treated like you're single and occasionally visiting your house. She pushed her chair back. We're done. For tonight, yeah, I said. We'll see how you handle it. I thought that was progress. The next 2 days, she acted like she'd heard me. Thursday morning, I came into the kitchen and she was already there, making coffee, frying eggs. She never did weekday breakfast. You're up early, I commented. She glanced over. I figured I'd make you something. You looked tired last night. That's new, I said, sitting down. I was a little harsh, she admitted, sliding a plate in front of me. Work has been insane. I took it out on you. I can text when I go out. It's not a big deal. I watched her move around the kitchen. Soft tone, warm plate, small smile. Mid-turn. Okay, I nodded. Let's see it. That evening, while I was at the gym, my phone buzzed. Hey, meeting Megan and Jess at the wine bar downtown. Be home by 10. Don't wait up with dinner. Clear, detailed, even with a little heart emoji she hadn't used in a while. I stared at it. Part of me relaxed. Another part filed it away. This showed she could do it when she felt like it. You learn a lot from how someone behaves when there are rules. For a week or two, it went better. She texted. She called once from her car on speaker, laughing with some girls in the background. She brushed my shoulder when she passed me, sat closer on the couch, gave me a light kiss on the cheek before leaving. On the surface, it looked like things were smoothing out. Underneath, little things started to stand out. One Friday, she said she'd be at her mom's house, helping with some paperwork. She left around 6. At 8, I got a text. Mom says hi. We ordered that spicy shrimp from Riverside again. You know, like last time. I looked at that line too long. Last time we had that shrimp together was months ago, on the other side of town, nowhere near her mom's place. And her mom hated spicy food. I typed, your mom eats that now? Then deleted it. Instead, I called. She picked up on the second ring. Voices in the background, music. Hey, she said. Everything okay? Yeah, I answered. Just checking. You good? Fine, she replied quickly. We're in the middle of something. Can I call you later? Sure, I said. Have fun with your mom. She hung up a little too fast. I stared at my screen. Then I walked to the fridge, looked at the weekly planner we'd been using for years. Bills, appointments, her mom's Thursdays, my Saturday shifts. I took a marker and erased half of it. That was my next move. Saturday morning, we were supposed to drive to her sister's place for a family lunch. She liked to parade the perfect couple act for them. I was at the dining table, sorting through bank statements. Our joint account, my personal one, the automatic transfers I'd set up without thinking much about it. Lisa came in, sunglasses on her head, already dressed. You're not ready? She asked. Nope, I said, highlighting a line. We're not going. She blinked. What? I looked up. I'm not going to spend another Saturday smiling in front of your family, like everything's fine while you treat our house like a hotel. So I'm staying home. You can go if you want. Her tone sharpened. They're expecting us. They can expect you, I replied. I'm busy. Doing what? She pointed at the papers. Staring at numbers? Cleaning up my side of our life, I answered. Adjusting some transfers. Separating things a bit. You're already doing your own schedule. I'm just catching up with reality. She froze. What transfers? For now, I said calmly. Nothing you need to worry about. Just know I'm done paying for a life I'm not actually part of. If you want me there, that includes information, time, and respect. Not just my name on bills. Her jaw tightened. So you punish me with money. Nice spin, I said. You build your own private life? I stopped financing a fantasy. That's not punishment. That's balance. You're being dramatic, she shot back. Can you stop with this mood and just come? We'll talk about your balance later. I shook my head. No. We talk now or not at all. I'm not going there to play happy spouse while things are like this. She grabbed her keys. Fine. I'll go alone. But you're making this weird. As long as we're clear on who made it weird first, I replied. She left, slamming the door. That afternoon, Dan came by again, this time with his girlfriend, Erin. They brought burgers. We ate on the back deck. Erin took a sip of soda. Lisa not home. At her sister's, I said. Family lunch. Erin frowned. Huh. I thought I saw her car near the riverfront last weekend. I was driving by that row of restaurants. Thought, that looks like Lisa's car, but figured you were both out. I kept my face neutral. Yeah? Must have been one of the nights with the girls. She didn't catch the tone. Dan did. He glanced at me, but didn't say anything. Another line in the file. That evening, Lisa came back from her sister's all thought out, like someone had flipped a switch. She walked into the kitchen while I was putting dishes away. Hey, she said softer. I'm sorry I snapped earlier. That makes two of us who heard it, I replied. She leaned against the counter. You just caught me off guard. Things at work, things with mom, my head is all over the place. I know I've been distant. I'm trying. I really am. I looked at her. Then stop trying in your head and start doing it out here. She stepped closer, put her hand on my arm. I made your favorite salad at Jenny's. Everyone asked where you were. I told them you needed a break. I can tell them we're fine. We can be fine. I didn't pull away. I also didn't lean in. We'll be fine, I said, when your actions match your words. Not before. She nodded, like she agreed. Another soft tone, second illusion. The next week, she was sweetness itself for 2 days. Texts. How's your day? Little photos from lunch. One night, she curled up at my side while we watched some detective show. She rested her head on my shoulder like nothing was wrong. You can call me naive for letting myself relax an inch. I won't argue, but I also kept one eye open. Wednesday was the night everything clicked. I got home, changed into jeans and a plain shirt, grabbed a quick bite. Lisa came out of the bedroom in a dress I hadn't seen in a while. Simple, but she'd put effort into it. Hair done, heels, light makeup. Going out? I asked, leaning on the doorway. She picked up her purse. Yeah. Megan texted. Girls' night. I need it. Where? I asked. She paused just a second too long. Downtown. That place by the river. You know the one. I told you about it. What time you back? I kept my voice casual. Not late, she said. 11 maybe. Text me when you get there. I added. And when you're on your way home. She rolled her eyes, but there was a little smile. Yes, sir. Anything else? Curfew? Breath check at the door. I'm serious, I replied. You agreed to the rule. She sighed. Fine. I'll text. Happy. Not the word I'd use, I said. But sure. She left. I watched her car back out of the driveway. 10 minutes later, I grabbed my keys. If I was wrong, I'd look like an idiot in my own head. If I was right, I wanted the truth in front of my face, not as a story out of her mouth. I took the old pickup, the one with the quiet engine. Drove downtown, kept a car or two behind her. Traffic helped. She didn't look back once. She parked near that row of restaurants by the river. There was a steakhouse, a seafood place, a small Italian one with candles in the windows. I pulled into a spot across the street, killed the lights. She got out, checked her phone, looked around. A man stepped out from the restaurant entrance, straightening his shirt. Jason, her ex from years back. I'd met him once at some reunion thing. Fake smile, soft voice. Always holding the center of attention like it was his birthright. I watched them hug. Not a quick, friendly thing. A slow one, with both arms, his hand staying on her lower back a little too long. I took my phone from the cup holder and took a picture. Then another. Clean shots. Her face, his face, the place. They went inside. I stayed in the truck. I sat there for a while, staring at the building. Couples went in, couples came out. People laughed on the sidewalk. Some guy tried to parallel park and failed twice. Part of me wanted to storm in there, flip their table, throw the ring at her, and make a scene. That's the part movies are built around. The rest of me did what I actually do. I waited and watched. After about an hour and a half, they came out. They were close. Her hand brushed his. His arm went around her for a second. She laughed at something he said. Another set of pictures. They walked down the street together to the taxi stand. One car pulled up. They both got in the back. No hesitation. Driver pulled away. I followed at a distance. Not too close. Just enough to keep the lights in view. The car stopped in front of an apartment building on the other side of town. I recognized the street. Old brick buildings, narrow entrance, couple of trees planted along the sidewalk. They got out. He opened the door to the building. She stepped inside first. He followed. I took more pictures, Entrance, street number, time stamp in the corner of the screen. Kill turn. I sat there, hands on the wheel, and felt something very simple. Done. No yelling. No tears. Just a clear, straight line in my head. This is over. All that was left was paperwork and logistics. I drove home the long way, planning. Back at the house, I walked through the rooms once. Bedroom, closet, bathroom. I took out a small suitcase from under the bed and set it by the dresser. Not for me. Then I sat in the living room, phone in my hand, and waited. Around midnight, I heard a taxi outside. Car door, footsteps, keys rattling. She walked in, closing the door quietly like that would change anything. Hey, she started, smiling, cheeks flushed. I didn't think you'd still be up. The girls. I got up from the couch. How was it? I asked. Good time with Megan and the others? The smile on her face froze. She glanced at my hands. Empty. Then at my face. Whatever she saw there, it wiped the warmth clean off her. It was fine, she replied. Why are you staring at me like that? I stepped closer, reaching an arm around her. Just missed my wife? I said, leaning in. She jerked back like I'd tried to touch a hot stove. Don't, she snapped. Never put your hands on me like that again, or we are done. I mean it. There it was. Threat, loud and clear. I straightened up. That might actually be the best idea you've had in months, I answered. She blinked. What are you talking about? You said if I touch you. We're done, I replied. I'm saying being done sounds like the healthiest option on the table. Panic started to flicker in her eyes. This was not the script she'd written in her head. Wait, she said quickly. You're twisting my words. I just got in, you're already starting? We can talk in the morning. We're talking now, I said. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and unlocked it. Since you had such a busy night with your girls. I swiped to the photos and held the screen up. First one, her hugging Jason in front of the restaurant. Her face lost all color. What is this? I slid to the next. Them at the entrance, his hand on her back. Then them at the taxi. Then them at the building. We were just catching up, she stammered. Old friends. You're taking pictures of me now? Are you serious? That's crazy. I tilted my head, like I was trying to understand a new language. While she was talking, another notification popped up. The cloud backup had finished. All the photos stored safely. I swiped again to the ones in front of the apartment door. And here, I asked, let me guess, you went upstairs to pray together? Or you decided the restaurant wasn't private enough for your deep conversations? Tears started forming in her eyes. It wasn't like that. What was it like then? I asked. Walk me through the holy part. She pressed her hands to her face. It was one time. I was confused. We were talking about old stuff. I didn't want to hurt you. I just needed to clear my head. I actually laughed. A short one. You cleared a lot more than your head, I said. You cleared out the rest of my patience. It was a mistake, she insisted. We've been together so many years. You're really going to throw it away over one stupid night. I held up the phone again, shook it lightly. You already threw it away, I replied. I'm just taking out the trash. She stared at me, breathing fast. You can't mean that, she whispered. We can fix this. I'll block his number. I'll never see him again. Please, Mark, don't do anything rash. We can go to counseling, No, I cut her off. You had counseling when I sat at this table and told you I needed you to show up like a partner. You had counseling when I asked for basic honesty. You chose secrets instead. That was your session. This is my result. She stepped closer, reaching for my arm now. Interesting timing. Please, she said. Can we at least talk tomorrow? Sleep on it. You're angry. I'm not angry, I answered. I'm decided. I pointed at the suitcase by the dresser in the open bedroom doorway. You have 60 minutes, I said. You put what you need in that. You call a taxi. By the time that hour is up, you are sitting in the back seat heading wherever you want that isn't here. Her mouth dropped open. You're throwing me out? I'm closing my house to someone who doesn't respect it, I replied. Big difference again. And where am I supposed to go? She demanded. Tonight. I shrugged. Your mom. Your sister. Your old friend upstairs. You seem to have options. You can't do this, she repeated, voice shaking. This is my house too. Not for long, I said. Tomorrow, first thing, I'll start the paperwork. For now, I'm telling you what's happening. Hour starts now. I put my phone on the counter, screen facing up. Timer at 60 minutes. She watched it tick down from 59:55 like it was a bomb. "You're serious?" she whispered. "Yes." She tried another tactic. "If you do this, people will think you're heartless. My family, our friends, they will blame you. They can blame whoever helps them sleep," I replied. "I'll sleep fine." She stared at me, waiting for me to crack. I didn't. Eventually, she went to the bedroom. Drawers opened, hangers slid across the rod. She moved fast when she thought I wouldn't see, then slowed down and sniffled loudly when she walked past me with an armful of clothes, like she was auditioning. I stayed at the kitchen table, watching the timer and answering none of it. At about the 40-minute mark, there was a knock at the front door. Our neighbor, Nancy, stood there, gray cardigan, curious eyes. "Everything all right?" she asked. "I saw the taxi pull up early and your lights are all on." Behind me, Lisa was dragging the suitcase down the hall. "Everything's fine, Nancy," I said, "just making some overdue changes." Lisa looked at Nancy, then at me, like she'd just realized this was actually happening in the real world, not just in our living room. Nancy's gaze flicked to the suitcase, then back. She was old enough to understand without questions. "Well," she said slowly, "if anyone needs anything, I'm next door." "Thanks," I replied. When the taxi arrived, Lisa stood at the doorway, pulling her coat tighter. "This isn't over," she said quietly. "You're just angry now. You'll calm down. You know you will." I met her eyes. "You really think so little of me," I replied. "That's almost funny." She picked up the handle, rolled the suitcase out, and got in the car without another word. I closed the door and locked it. Next morning, I woke up at 6, made coffee, sat at the table where we'd had that first talk about texting and laughed once at the memory. By 8:30, I was sitting in a law office downtown. Small place, no fancy furniture, just a middle-aged woman with glasses and a clear way of speaking. She looked over the notes I brought, the photos, the timeline. "So," she said, looking up, "you're done." "Yes," I replied. "I want this over with as fast and as clean as possible." "We can do that," she said. "No kids. House, car accounts. You already started separating finances." "Yesterday," I answered. "I'm also heading to the bank after this." She nodded. "Good. That makes it easier. I'll draft the documents. She'll get served. You ready for calls and messages?" "They already started last night," I said. I answered none. She gave a tiny approving nod. "Keep it that way. The less you say, the clearer this goes." From her office, I went to the bank. Spoke with a young manager in a neat shirt who tried to keep his voice neutral when I explained I wanted to remove joint access to certain accounts and cancel automatic transfers. "Is everything all right, Mr. Collins?" he asked. "Everything is accurate," I replied. "That's all that matters." He clicked through his screen. "All right. Access changed. She'll still have her accounts, but the shared one is now limited." "Perfect," I said. My phone buzzed the whole time. Calls from Lisa. Messages. 2 from her sister. 1 from her mom. I didn't open them. On my lunch break, Dan met me at a diner near the shop. He slid into the booth. "You look like you slept." "I did," I said. "Best sleep I've had in months." He raised an eyebrow. "So, she's out," I told him. "I followed her last night. Saw everything I needed to see. Showed her the pictures. Gave her an hour to pack. This morning I hired a lawyer. Bank access changed." He stared at me for a moment, then let out a breath. "Damn," he muttered. "You actually did it." I took a sip of water. "Did you think I wouldn't?" "I've seen a lot of guys talk and then fold as soon as the tears start," he said. "Good to see you're not on that list." My phone buzzed again on the table between us. He glanced at the screen. Lisa's name. 10 missed calls already. "You gonna pick up?" he asked. "No," I replied. The call ended. A text came in. "It was just one night. We've been married so long. You're really going to walk away from everything for one mistake?" Another one, right after. "You're hurting me more than I ever hurt you. How can you be so cold?" I read them once, then typed a single reply. "You traded all those years for that one night yourself? I'm just respecting your choice." Then I hit send and blocked her number. Silence. Dan watched me. That's it, I said. He nodded slowly. "You know she's going to try other ways. Social media, family, friends." "I know," I replied. "But she doesn't get to speak into my life anymore. She lost that seat." He smirked. "Remind me not to cross you. You don't disappear for hours and lie about where you are," I said. You're safe. The following weeks were busy. Paperwork, signatures, meetings. Her lawyer called mine, tried the usual angles. He's being extreme. He's throwing away a marriage over a misunderstanding. My lawyer sent back the photos, the timeline, my offer. Fair. Clean. No screaming. Lisa tried getting through other channels. Emails from new addresses, messages from her sister. He's confused. He doesn't understand the situation. He misses you. Just talk to him. I replied once short. Please stop. This is done. When the agreement was finally signed, it felt less like an ending and more like someone had finally stopped a loud, annoying noise that had been running in the background for years. We sold the house. I took my share, bought a small place closer to the shop. One story, simple yard, room for a grill, and a workbench in the garage. I replaced the old pickup with a better truck. Nothing fancy, just something that actually started every time. Work picked up. Turns out, when you're not mentally tracking your spouse's location every evening, you have more energy for life. I started going out with coworkers sometimes. Ball games, cheap beers, normal conversations. A few months later, I met someone through Dan's girlfriend. Her friend Emily. Divorced, 2 kids, already grown, straightforward. She asked real questions and listened to the answers. Phone on the table, screen up, no mysterious nights out, no girls' trips that didn't have names. We took it slow. I wasn't in a rush to sign any more papers. But having someone in my passenger seat who actually wanted to be there felt good. As for Lisa, I didn't go looking. But information has its own way of traveling. One evening, Nancy from next door called me. We still talked once in a while. I saw your ex at the store today, she said. She looked tired. Heard her talking to someone about staying in her sister's guest room. Hope she figures out her life, I said. You're doing well, Nancy added. It shows. I am, I said. Took me a while to clean up my own standards. Worth it. After we hung up, I went to the garage. Emily was there, sitting on the little couch we'd dragged in, watching me work on a project for the shop. She looked over. You all right? Yeah, I said, tightening a bolt. Just thinking about old decisions. Regrets? She asked. No, I replied. Just reminders. She nodded. Reminders are useful. I wiped my hands, sat down next to her. Here's the thing. People like to dress up what happened to me with big words. Betrayal, heartbreak, all that. For me, it was simpler. She stopped treating me like a partner. I told her clearly what I needed. She chose secrets instead. She thought I would break before my patience did. She bet wrong. I didn't slam doors or burn anything down. I just took my time, gathered the facts, moved my money, hired the right people, and opened the front door for her to leave. Cold, maybe. Effective, definitely. If you take anything from this, let it be this. When someone shows you you're optional, you don't argue. You don't chase. You don't give speeches. You quietly move them out of the center of your life and keep walking. They can keep their stories. You keep your self-respect.